Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the What's on These TV podcast. This is my commentary podcast about shows, movies, music, all types of media that I love, enjoy watching, enjoy listening to. My name is Dee. Yes, regular housekeeping rules apply. Be kind. Feel free to comment thoughts, feelings, opinions about what I'm talking about or about what I've said, anything like that, anything that you like, I will read them, respond to them. Uh, and yeah, I very much like having a conversation feel. Um, you'll probably hear my cat in the background. He's out and about. And yeah, that's everything. I hope y'all all doing good today. Um, and now I'm going to get into the episode. So, what I'm talking about today was supposed to have been my first episode of this podcast, but I prefer the episodes that I did before this one. So, I'm getting back to it. And I'm very excited. What I'm talking about today is the Netflix movie Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Came out in 2022, I believe. And yes, I have so many notes for this movie, and I am very excited to talk about just what I was thinking while watching. I have so many notes for this movie. That's crazy. Okay, so I will talk about how did I discover this this movie. Well, first of all, I love Kathryn Hahn, and I was heavy in her filmography. This had to be again. This podcast has been a long time coming. These notes are from like 8 months ago. 8 months ago. So bear with me. I'm hoping that I make sense in what I'm saying. But yeah, I discovered this series because I was heavy into Kathryn Hahn's filmography. I was looking up what she was in, and I've always seen gifs of her character from this movie on Twitter and on social media, and saw like fan edits to her and everything like that. And I was like, oh, that seems interesting. It seems kind of like Agatha-esque in a way. That's what I was thinking. I don't think that now, but prior to watching it, that's what I thought. But yes, so I am going to talk about my thoughts and feelings on this movie. I have written down the reason I discovered it was Kathryn Hahn is in it, and I love her. Love that for me. And yes, so I'm gonna get right into it. First thing that I have written, I have so many notes. This is crazy. The first thing that I have written down is the movie opening with Kathryn Hahn. Bless. Yes, that was a very, very good decision. Very good choice. I enjoyed that greatly. And I like when Kathryn Hahn plays like chaotic, kind of like mean characters. I don't know. I love that. So her opening the door. And first of all, her clothes. This woman had a blazer on and then pajama pants. I get it. It was like pandemic times. And still pandemic times, Heike. But anyway, I had the pandemic times where everybody was working from home. So I completely understand the blazer on top and the pajama pants on the bottom. But it's still funny to see. And I thought that was interesting. I will say, her just accepting this random box from random people she doesn't know, because she didn't know who sent her the box, was crazy. And again, I feel like I say this with every episode, just mind your business. I don't care if it was sent to you. Just be like, no, thank you. I don't want that. Don't open it. Like that could have been resolved. Could have solved this whole thing. Just mind your business. Don't take it. Just leave it whatever. And then I pointed out how Claire pushing the makeup artist's hand away reminds me of a news blooper I saw on YouTube, and it does. The lady did the exact same thing. I feel like it was a British news caster, and the lady was doing her makeup for her, and she like pushed her hand away and just got right into the story. I thought that was That was funny. Um, and then I pointed out how dry Claire is. Love it. She's very like funny without trying to be. And I don't know if it's because it's Kathryn Hahn and she's amazing, or it's because how she plays her, or if it's because how she's written. But she's just very dry. Whereas, and again, so this is how I was saying, like, when I saw fan cast of her, I was like, oh, she's kind of like Agatha. This is where I feel like I realized no, they're different because Agatha is very goofy, very funny, very everything is she don't take shit seriously at all. Whereas Claire feels very buttoned up, very uptight, very this is this and that's because this is this and that's that. She doesn't give me Agatha's like jokey, making fun of everybody's vibe at all. So I do realize the differences, so don't come for me for that. It's just the editing I saw on Twitter. I was like, oh, kind of the same. Anyway, oh, and then I put when they showed Lionel and he was talking to the people on the computer again, quarantine. They're working from, they're isolated, and I was like, Lionel, what you doing, brother? Just because I didn't expect to see him, and I was like, oh no, they got you, they got you. And then my next note was, do I want Claire to be mean to me? Yes. And then I said, would I vote for her? And I still don't know. I still don't know if I would vote for her, but I do want her to be mean to me, very, very much so. So, yeah. And then the next scene that I'm talking about was when they showed Birdie having a party. First of all, let me talk about what I wrote down and then I'll talk about what I have to say about Birdie. I was like, that's a lot of people in that little room, Birdie. And then she was talking about how she's not allowed to have a phone because she tweeted out ethnic slurs. And I was like, of course she did. Of course she did. And then I was like, it's funny how everyone else is quarantining. And then there's Birdie, not a mask in sight. Just, here's my thoughts on Birdie, okay? I feel like there is a there's a lot of people like Birdie out there, and she's funny, but it's like, am I laughing at you? Am I laughing with you? I don't know. Some of the stuff she says, I'm just like, girl, you can't be this dumb. And then it's stuff that she says, and I'm like, you're too old to be this stupid. Anyway, I still want her and Claire to kiss, but that's another topic for another day. Whatever. The next scene we have is Duke being the dude, bro, and his girlfriend. I believe her name is Whiskey. I reference her to as his girlfriend for this whole movie, but I believe her name is Whiskey. Her saying, "I love my boobs." Sorry, feminists. I'm like, do feminists not love? I'm confused. I was confused by that statement. So I just said, okay. And then, and then I pointed out how young Whiskey looks for Duke. Way too young for that man. Anyway. And then I said, of course, Duke lives with his mama. And I love that she smacked the shit out of him. She should have did it twice. She should have did a pow pow, because he was saying some out of pocket stuff to her. But I love that. I love that she handled him. And then we get to the scene where they're all opening up the boxes, which again, why are you opening boxes from random people you don't know? What if it had like arsenic or something in it? What if it had asbestos or something that can kill you for whatever? Anyway, so I did point out, I will say the box does look intricate and cool. I wouldn't touch it. That's just me. I'm not that curious, but it did look cool, so I'll give it that. My next comment was, I need Claire and Birdie to kiss. Still do. Still do. Still do. And then when they're trying to figure out all the puzzles to the box. Duke's mom is sitting there telling them everything. Why were they ignoring her? I'm like, you should listen to her. She clearly knows what she's talking about. I don't know. And then when it said you're all invited to the note that came with the box, and they're like, you're all invited to my mansion, to my compound, whatever he said. I said pass immediately, because no. And then the next scene was showing Janelle Monáe receive, or Andy, quote unquote, character receiving her box. And I said Janelle Monáe, and then I was like, I love how she just decided to just hammer the shit out of it. She said, I'm not going through all this puzzle shit. I'm just going to destroy it, open it. Loved that. And then I was talking about how Daniel Craig's southern accent sounds so weird to my ears. And maybe it's because I already know that he's British and I already know he has a British accent, but I don't, I know that he has an accent that's not a southern accent. And it just sounds, usually when you hear artists that have English or British accents or even Scottish accents, they're playing, well, in my experience, they're playing American characters. So I don't realize that they don't have an American accent until I like watch an interview with them. But going into watching this, I already knew that he had a British accent. So his southern accent sounded so weird to me. And then he had, this is talking about, I said, do people really be having their electronics near their tubs? This was in reference to when Benoit, Daniel's character, Benoit, was doing something on the computer, but he's in the tub and he fully has the computer over him in the tub. I'm just like, y'all don't have no kind of anxiety, huh? That's what I'm realizing. People just don't have, what's that like? Not to be nervous about everything. And then my next comment was gay. And this was because when he was in the tub, I'm assuming it's his partner. Yeah, I don't know if it was explicitly stated, but context clues. His partner, I don't remember what his name was, but his partner answered the door or was like yelling to him, telling him that he had a box that just came, and I was like, gay, because that's me. And then the next scene is Benoit looking at the box on the balcony, and I was like, he looks fabulous. And then, because I'm stupid, I was like, this must be what Fergie was singing about, because Fergie's song "Fabulous." Don't I know? Tomato, tomato, tomato. But this is what I wrote. Mind you, this is from 8 months ago, so please don't, not too much. And then the next scene that I'm talking about is when all of the friends, quote unquote, arrive to the private island, and I'm just looking at their masks, because again, COVID. First of all, Claire's mask doesn't cover her nose, and I was like, Claire, cover your nose, bitch. And then Birdie has on literally a mesh face net mask full of holes. There's no protection, there's no coverage. I was like, what's the point? You could have just not worn a mask. And then the bitch had the nerve to make a comment later on, after they're on the island or whatever, and they're able to take their masks off. She goes, "Oh, I can finally breathe." I was like, "Girl, your breathing was not. You had no problem breathing when you were wearing that mask that you were wearing. Please." Oh, and no, yeah, the Claire nose thing, Claire's mask not covering her nose really bothered me, because that's really how things were, and I was just like, what is the point? And then, oh, yes, another thing I said, I was like, I have a serious question in reference to Claire's visor. I was like, what's the point of Claire's see-through visors? Doesn't that defeat the purpose? Isn't the purpose of a visor to block out the sun and your eyes and your face? But then it's see-through, it's clear. So why? I don't know. Different question for a different day, but that threw me. And then I was talking, oh yeah, this scene is about when the random man came to shoot I don't know what he shot into their mouths so that they can go maskless and not have to worry about getting sick. That was crazy to me. I was like, y'all just opening up. Y'all not. Oh, Benoit was the only one that asked him what the hell he was giving them. Everybody else just opened their mouths. I was like, there's no, no anxiety, no anxiety with these people. Must be nice. My next, my next note in big bold letters: Janelle Monáe, fabulous. I'm sure I'm talking about the dress she was wearing because that dress was beautiful. And then I said, my favorite character in this movie is the boat. That boat was beautiful. The yacht, oh, that was beautiful. Gorgeous. And then when they finally get to the island, and Miles, that dumbass, was sitting there, hugging everybody, and Clara went up and she sounded so excited to hug him, but then you could see her face. I was like, her facial expressions are taking me out. And through this whole movie, her facial expressions cracked me the fuck up. And then I pointed out how Andy, Janelle's character, is not fucking with any of the people there at all, which of course we understand why once we get more into the film, but I thought it was funny. And then I agreed with her. I said, yes, Andy, this rich people shit is very weird. And it does seem, they do seem very odd. They do odd stuff. I don't know. And I said, because I'm an architecture person, I said the commune looks beautiful, sans that giant glass monstrosity on top. And then I said, is this too much? I don't like it. I don't like it. And I was talking about how the glass dome looks like it belongs in the Museum of Illusions. And I thought that was funny. The next scene was Miles, after he had told everybody how to find their room and whatnot, he wanted to speak to Benoit. And then he was like, what are you doing here? I didn't invite you. And Benoit was like, yeah, I solved that simple children's puzzle that you sent, which it didn't seem simple to me, but maybe he apparently he's a genius. Now, a side note, I know that there is another movie in this for Knives Out, but I have not watched that. I don't plan on watching that. I only watched this because Kathryn Hahn is in it, and I happen to enjoy it. So that's why I watched that. But yeah. So back to what I was saying. He said he called it a simple children's puzzle. I was like, maybe he's a genius and maybe that's explored in a previous movie, but that was crazy to me. And then yeah, I pointed out Miles is a fucking idiot. He's so stupid, and you can tell he's dumb right off bat. I don't know. And then the next scene is a trope that a lot of shows and movies do that I fucking hate. It's when Whiskey is coming out of the pool in the slow motion. I hate slow motion shots in movies and shows. They just, they always make me cringe. The only slow motion scene that I will accept and not have an issue with is the fight scene in Bottoms because I just thought that was fucking hilarious. And then the Miss Carey, Mariah Carey, coming out of the pool in slow motion in the Honey music video because that music video is close and near and dear to my heart. And if y'all listen to my where I talked about crushes, I'm pretty sure I spoke about why that music video is so important. But anyway, yes, that I apparently it's an unpopular opinion. I don't like slow motion shots in movies and shows. It just ugh. And then Duke sitting there in the swimming pool with a gun. I don't. That man irks my nerves. Like everything about him. And then I was saying how, of course, Birdie was talking about a tribute to Beyonce. I'm assuming for like she got in trouble for doing a Halloween costume, and she said it was a tribute to Beyonce. I'm sure it has something to do with like blackface. I would not put that past her. And in big bold letters, I put Birdie, you are too damn old. Oh, Birdie, Birdie, Birdie. And then the next scene was Miles blowing smoke up his own ass with the damn disruptor's speech to Benoit. And I was like, of course, this piece of shit is trying to take credit for every goddamn thing. Of course he is. He's just so stupid. I don't get how. And it's funny because I know that people can be very manipulative and they have to have a sense of charm about them, or they have to know how to manipulate people. But just going through this movie, I was like, how did this man manipulate y'all? He doesn't even have the charm aspect. He's just an idiot. He uses words that don't make no sense, that aren't real words. It just, he's stupid. And then on top of that, he has everybody else doing the work for him. So he's not even smart. He's not clever. He's not creative. He's not inventive. He's just an idiot. But you know what? That's probably more common. That's more common than I would think. All right, into my spiel about them. I do not like Miles at all. Into my spiel about him. Anyway, and then the next scene that I was talking about was Birdie, hearing that Birdie compared herself to Harriet Tubman. And she's talking about in spirit. Girl, shut up. Shut up. And then I pointed out how these are all terrible people. And I'm happy that Andy, quote unquote, told them about themselves because they're all terrible people. And you know, especially in why can't I remember his name? Hold on. In Lionel's case, this man is super smart, apparently. How did you fall for Miles? How did he, even Claire? I don't understand. Like the others, I get to some effect them falling for him because he is what they want to be. He says what they want to say. I get that. But Lionel and Claire falling for it, I don't know. I don't know if that's believable to me. I think that's the main issue that I have with this film is just that them falling for his stupid shit doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, and then I said that the quote that Benoit said is really good, and it's a dangerous thing to mistake speaking without thought for speaking the truth. And I said I need to put that on a damn mug because that is a fact. He did his big one there. That was really good. And then just to warn you, all throughout these notes I have, I want Claire and Bertie to kiss throughout all of these notes. Oh, Dashani, can you just not be gay for 5 seconds? Jesus. and, and then, oh, I was really curious about why Claire and Lionel were so much closer to each other than the others. This was in reference to when Claire and Lionel were in the pool talking. You know, they were like whispering and everything to each other. I was like, why are they so much closer to each other than everybody else? And I was like, is it like a romance thing? Like, what's happening? Of course, that's explained later on, but that is something that I picked up on, and I was like, huh. Because it seemed like Claire didn't like any of these people except Lionel. She should still kiss Birdie, though. But anyway, Um, throughout this film, I loved Andy's and Lionel's clothing so much, so much, especially that green get up that Lionel had on with the hat and oh, it's beautiful. Loved that. And then my next note was too much fucking money. This man has way too much fucking money, and that's in regards to when he was showing them everything in the building. He's showing them all the artwork, the sculptures, and the fucking Mona Lisa that he had. Too much money. Too much money. Don't know what to do with it. That's crazy. And then my next note was they haven't tested this shit, but they're using it in the building. You don't know how it reacts. Haven't tested it, but you're using the materials in the building. And this is in reference to the material that Miles wanted to, clear with a K, because I don't fucking know why, but the building material that he wanted to push out into the world without testing and seeing how it responds to environmental changes, anything like that. Very unethical, very immoral, but it doesn't seem like he cares about any of that or has any of that anyway. It's crazy to me that you don't know how this material reacts to stuff, but you're using it where you are. That's also crazy to me. I mean, it's crazy anyway. You're supposed to test shit, but he's very stupid. I don't understand how they fell for this man. He's very dumb. Anyway, when he's next scene is when Miles is explaining the whole murder mystery part of their vacation, their stay. And afterwards, Benoit's like, "What do we win?" I feel him because I'll be like, "You think I'm gonna solve all this shit for free? Free? No. What do I win?" And I just thought that was funny. And then I thought it was really funny how fast Benoit solved the murder mystery. That dumbass Miles was like, "This is gonna take all weekend." It would take you all weekend, Miles, you damn dummy. Anyway, I thought that was funny. And then he explained the glass onion metaphor Benoit did of the building, and I get that. It's still ugly though. I still don't like the way it looked. My next comment for some reason was Daniel Craig's eyes. I'm not sure what that's in regards to, but okay. And then the next thing I saying, I do like, Birdie's rainbow dress when they were sitting near the red couches in the living room. Oh, that was beautiful. I loved that. Again, I still want Claire and Birdie to kiss. Yes, we get it. Claire crashing out. One of my favorite parts of the movie. Finally, it looked like she was so pent up that she finally just lashed out. And I thought that was funny. And then another thing that I pointed out was some of the acting in the movie was really, really good. I enjoyed it. Of course, Kathryn's acting amazing. Janelle's acting amazing. And then the actor who plays Lionel, his acting is amazing too. Of course, Daniel Craig. Again, I can't get past the accent, but other than that, it was good. Yeah. And then also Kathryn's acting. Kate Hudson. Sorry. Kate Hudson's acting was good too. Yeah. And then, oh yes, so this is something that I pointed out my first time watching, but I didn't know that it was a thing in the movie. But I peeped that when Miles was like, "Oh, look at Birdie's dress," and he went to sit down, that Duke took his drink. And I was like, "Duke," my notes are in big bold letters, "Duke, why would you just take Miles' drink?" Because that seemed weird to me. And then, but little did I know. And then the next scene is Claire crashing out, and then having to vomit because she drank a whole lot of Bacardi. I was like, "Ooh, girl, been there, felt that." Oh, and then so the next thing, naturally, Duke dies because what we know after seeing, he drank the drink that was poisoned. But my thing was, why did they keep touching his body with no gloves on? They just kept touching his dead body, and I was like, y'all are going to jail. I see why Claire was crashing out. Y'all are going to jail, just touching this dead body, no gloves. Nobody knows who killed him yet or how he died, and y'all just touching him. Whatever, dog. The next thing I said, oh, when the lights went out, I was like, I would have just went to my room and locked the door and waited for people to come the next day. I'm not playing with y'all. Y'all can do whatever y'all want. I'm staying in my room. until the cops come the next day. And then the next scene, I was like, the next comment I have is, no, Andy. This was when she was shot, on the steps outside the building. And then immediately after that, I put, this is what I have written down. I said, for some reason, Andy's death reminded me of the scene in Agatha All Along when Rio looked at Agatha and was like, "Your coven is shrinking." I was like, "Yeah, that does remind me of that scene." I don't know why, but it did. It was funny. I think it was the look on Daniel's or on Benoit's face. And then the next scene we have is when it's shown that Andy is actually has an identical twin sister. And I said, now the twin aspect is where I get confused, not gonna lie. I enjoyed that part of the movie. I enjoyed that aspect. I don't know if it really made sense in the Knives Out universe, because again, this is the only one that I've seen. I don't know if they're standalone or if you need to have knowledge of the previous one in order to really fully enjoy this one. I don't know, but I like the twin sister aspect. I thought that was cool. And I was saying how I do understand how Annie and her sister would play the rich bitch character, because same, definitely played a snobby rich person growing up, because I thought it was funny. And then the next scene was them explaining how Andy was killed because she wanted to expose the truth that she had a hand in creating what Miles was selling, and she was trying to keep the world safe. She had the napkin, and then oh, I said, damn, somebody killed Andy because she wanted to expose the truth, and then in quotes I have, or in parentheses I have, bet it was Miles. Girl, you is right. You is killing this with these. You did good, girl. I'm big up in myself because yeah, I hadn't seen this movie before and I was able to figure some stuff out. I love that for me. Anyway, again about Daniel Craig's eyes. I said his eyes look fake. It's very disconcerting. Crying emoji. And then I said, and I still stand by this. I said Miles is the definition of failing up. This is in reference to them showing how Andy introduced Claire and Bertie and Lionel to Miles, and he just like took over their friend group. I hate that man. Anyway, and then I said, yeah, of course Miles gets a big head and tries to act like everything is his idea. An idiot. And then, yeah, I pointed out her friends that she knew first stuck by that man. Terrible fucking people. Then I get to the scene that confused me. I said, why would Andy even send them the email that she found the napkin? I would have just showed that to my lawyers. No, like why? You know these people stabbed you in the back to stay attached to Miles, and you knew if that gets out, then it would be bad. Why would you send it to them? I wouldn't send. I don't know. Maybe my brain is too small to think about that, but I don't think that was a smart thing to do. And then my next comment is, whiskey's actually smart. This is in reference to when Andy and Whiskey were like walking to the pool and talking to each other, and Whiskey was explaining everything and why she's with Duke and putting up with what's going on. I was like, Whiskey's actually smart. I know that's right. Listen, do what you gotta do, you know? If that's what you feel like you gotta do it, girl. And then my next comment was, oh, so that's why Lionel and Claire were so close. Uh, they fucked over their morals the most, and they both have the most to lose because Lionel is a scientist, Claire is a politician, and they're both indebted to Miles. which is also makes sense why they fucked over Andy. Um, they put their morals on the line and they went with something they did not believe in, or went with the person they did not believe in, so that they can get to their end goal quicker. And I guess that's why their friendship is more close than everybody else's, because everybody else seems so superficial, and they seem to actually care about what they wanted to succeed in, if that makes sense. What's next? So next I say, so they just went to Andy's house to keep her quiet. Now, this is what I thought when I first saw it. I was like, oh, so they all just went to Andy's house to keep her quiet so she wouldn't talk about the napkin, about Miles' unethical behavior, and all that shit. Later on, I find out that that's not exactly true. And then the next thing I have written down, she thought sweatshops is where they made sweatpants. God damn it, Birdie. She is not the brightest bulb. Her light ain't even on. And I stand by that. Birdie is very, very, very stupid. And it's to the point where I don't know if she's stupid because she's stupid, or if she's stupid because it's easier, if that makes sense. If you picking up what I'm putting down. I feel like some characters or some people act stupid because it's easier, or shuts down conversations, or gets them out of stuff, rather than them actually being stupid. I could be wrong though. The next thing I have is Andy saying, "I'm not trying to kill you, you crazy bitch," to Whiskey, is my favorite line in the movie. It's one of my favorite lines in the movie. And this is in reference to when Andy was trying to find the napkin that, oh, okay. So Andy is dead. Her twin sister Helen is playing Andy. So when I'm talking about Andy being alive and in the house and everything, know that it's in quotes, because it's really Helen, but she's playing Andy. She's playing as Andy. So Andy, Helen, Andy, um, messing up everybody's room trying to find the napkin in the red envelope that her sister, you know, Mel was trying to showcase. She got to Duke and Whiskey's room, and Whiskey was distraught because this was after Duke had been killed, but Andy didn't know that he was killed. And so she was like, "You need to leave him," and all this stuff. And she was like, "What will I tell his mom?" And then I forgot what Andy said, but Andy said something that tipped her off and made Whiskey think that she killed him. And so she was like, "Please don't kill me." And she was like, "I'm not trying to kill you, you crazy bitch." I thought that was hilarious. And then the next scene shows how Andy was shot on the staircase. Andy, quote unquote, was shot on the staircase, and how um, Andy's actual book protected her from the bullet. The bullet went through the book. So she didn't actually die. But Benoit had hot sauce in his pocket, and he thought her being believed to be dead, actually helped them figure stuff out. So he poured the hot sauce. She poured the hot sauce on her wound and laid down like she was dying. And then there's a part where Benoit is, you know, getting everybody back into the house while Andy is dead on the steps, quote unquote. And the hot sauce that she poured on her to look like blood, she got a little bit on her face, and it traveled and went up her nose because she was laying kind of like tilted backwards. And I was like, oh, I would have actually passed away like that. That I can, oh, it sounds like it would be painful. Oh, oh. And then the next thing I'm talking about is Benoit talking about how stupid Miles is. And I was like, I said this in the beginning. That man's an idiot. I feel vindicated. Because again, these are notes from my first watch. And I felt vindicated. So. And then the next one, oh yeah, because he was trying to say how Duke picked up his glass. And I was like, no, you handed him it. And then they showed Benoit said, "No, yeah, you handed him the glass. We all misremembered as him picking it up, but you handed it to him." I was like, "I knew he handed him the damn glass." And then I said, and then Benoit explained how Miles was the one who killed Andy. And I said, I fucking knew it was Miles. I felt so vindicated by the end of this movie. I'm telling you. My ultimate favorite line in this movie, or favorite back and forth in this movie, was Benoit saying, "It's so dumb," and Bertie saying, "It's so dumb, it's brilliant." And Benoit saying, "No, it's just dumb." I was like, yes, yes, very much so. I thought that back and forth was hilarious. And then I said, Bertie is so stupid, I cannot. And this was in regards to them finding out that Helen was playing Andy and Andy is dead. And Bertie was like, "Oh yes, you told me your you told me you had a sister and your sister." She's like, "Oh my god." I was like, "Bertie, girl, keep up. Keep up." Oh god. And then the next thing that happened was after all that was explained and Helen showed that she found where Andy's napkin was and she had it in her hand. Miles burned it. I hate that man so much. Miles burned it. I was like, all Miles knows how to do is fucking thief, dog. Like, I hate that man with a passion. And I was like, they should all kill him. For real, they should all kill him. Because we're towards the end of the movie. I was like, y'all should all just kill him, you know? And then, after all that, after Benoit said how everything went, these bitches still did not stick up for Andy or Helen. They still stuck by that man. Terrible people. And so I was like, after that, after all that, y'all still not gonna help her. They still turned a blind eye. Ugh. And then Benoit was telling her, show why Andy left as well. And this is where she starts to destroy all of the sculptures in the house and all of the art and the piano and all that. And I was like, yeah, girl, burn that shit down, burn it to the ground. And then after she broke all this glass, which I'm assuming was made with the clear shit that he's peddling, with clear with the K, for some, anyway. Um, she like lights it on fire, and like what Claire and Lionel were talking about in the pool when they were saying how Lionel was saying how he did tests for the material because Miles wanted to use it as a building material, and Lionel was saying how it it would like detonate, it would blow up, and Claire was like the Hindenburg, and I just thought it was funny that after Helen broke all the sculptures and she set it on fire, it did blow up. I just thought that was really funny. And I put, you reap what you sow. And then, so after they got out of the building, because it had blown up, the glass onion had exploded. Thank God, because it was terrible. And Miles is going on a tangent about, oh, are you happy now? Like, did you get what you wanted? And, uh, and Helen was like, "Yeah, you idiot. You said that you wanted your name to be synonymous with the Mona Lisa, and now you're going to be remembered as a person who let the Mona Lisa burn. So your name will always be connected to it." And he was like, "What?" And then they all of a sudden realized he had nothing on him. And so I put, "Oh, now they've decided to grow spines." After Helen did all the work, because she did. She destroyed most of the figurines. She set the house ablaze, blew it up. She removed the protection from the Mona Lisa, blew and set it on fire. She did all the fucking work. And then I was like, now they decided to grow spines and join her. And I was like, ain't that some social commentary for your ass? The black woman did all this work, and then everybody's like, actually, we're gonna be on her side. Man, that was my last comment for it. I was like, ain't that some social commentary for you? I enjoyed this film a lot. It was very fun. Again, it's not one of the films that I was looking at where it's like I have to spend so much brain power trying to figure everything out. It all came easily to me. I don't know why. I enjoyed that. I love being right. I love being vindicated, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I said my favorite character aside from the boat is Helen, and yes, that boat was gorgeous. I loved that. Um, but yes, that is my thoughts, opinions, slight recaps on the movie. Hopefully they made sense. If they don't, I get it. Again, these notes are from 8 months ago, and I wrote them after my first watch, so I get it. Um, Let me see what I thought about the series. Again, I enjoyed it, or the movie. I enjoyed it. I was very entertained. I didn't. It kept me sucked in, focused. And then, what stuck out to me the most, the cast chemistry and the funny one-liners. There were so many funny one-liners in this movie. I thought that they were great. I especially like the part where Claire's going on her tangent and she's talking about how Andy, quote unquote, walks in the room and her Gucci flip flops, and Bertie just whispers Chanel. I thought that was funny. Oh, the cast chemistry was really good. I enjoyed that. I think what I'm gonna do, because again, these notes are from my first rewatch, or from my first watch, and then I rewatched yesterday, and I still agree with everything that I said. What I'm gonna do is probably look up cast interviews and see how the chemistry is there, because I enjoyed their chemistry as a cast. And then again, my favorite character, the boat and Helen. That boat. Oh. And then for what I wish I could have seen, literally, literally just having, quote in parentheses, Claire and Bertie kiss just once. I listen. I am. You can never say that I don't have my eye on the prize. It's just always there. My end thoughts about the film. I had a great time. Um, I will be watching again, and of course, I did rewatch yesterday. So yes. And then yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't think that there's anything that I would have changed. It's just like a fun movie. Um, yeah, it didn't feel like I had to think too much. I do like that you can have some social commentary based on Andy or Helen doing all that work as a black woman, and then everybody like, oh yes, we agree with her. It's like you couldn't have helped during when I needed it. Whatever. Anyway, so those are my thoughts, feelings, reactions to um Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. Hopefully, it's not too all over the place. Um, Again, I tried to do a little bit of recaps in the moments that I'm talking about. If folks want me to do full recaps before talking about my thoughts and opinions, please let me know. I will see how to do that. But again, I am going into this believing that people have seen it already. Knives Out, a Glass Onion, the Knives Out mystery has been out for years, so I'm going into it assuming that people have watched it already. I'll do the random question of the day, and that is, who is a musician, band, or group that you like that may shock people? Um, I don't. I okay, so I have two that may shock people because usually I listen to like 90s R&B and hip hop and like alternative music as well. But I love Pentatonics. I don't know why. It just something about their sound just it scratches my brain in a way that other music hasn't. And I don't know how to explain it, but I love it. I love their music. I love their sound. And then Ash Nico. Ash Nico's amazing. I love their music as well. So yes, probably Pentatonics and Ash Nico. Who is a musician, band, or group that you like that may shock people? Feel free to comment it in the comments below. And yes, that is going to be everything from me today. Thank y'all for listening and bearing with me. It has been a week. It has been a week, but I enjoyed talking about this movie, and I'm excited for the next episodes as well. So yes, thank you again for listening. I hope y'all have a good day. Be safe. Um, take care of yourselves, and just yeah, have a good day. Talk to y'all later.